So I want to ask today an interesting question for all of us to explore. Who were you in another lifetime? Does that seem like an odd question for a UU minister to ask? Maybe it's not part of your theology that we had past lives. Maybe you don't believe in reincarnation. But whether or not you do, it's sometimes fun to imagine where we got certain traits, right, that just seem to pop out of nowhere in our personalities. For me, I feel that I must have been in a past life either a weaver of cloth or maybe a seamstress or a spinner of wool in another life, because I've always been obsessed with fabrics and textiles, what we call textiles, and different patterns and weaves and textures and colors, and I'm just so attracted to different kinds of fabric, and I want to know about them and how they were made. And this has resulted in a problem of mine, which is an overabundance of clothing in my closet. And maybe some of you can relate to this, but whether or not you are a clothes horse, as we call ourselves sometimes, it can be a problem, right, in our modern times of acquiring too much stuff. So I invite you, if you're not really interested in clothing, maybe you can relate this talk to something else that you have too much of in your life, because I think it's a problem that we all share. As for clothing, we rarely think about where it comes from or what it's made of or who designed it or whose hands actually stitched the garment together. It's so easy to just order a piece of clothing online or pull it off a rack at a store and grab a t-shirt to go, right? And I can tell you that my son, who's 13 and has zero interest in clothing, in fact, we still call him a top taker. We made up this designation for my son. He's a top taker because he just goes to his chest of drawers in the morning and just grabs whatever's on the top, a pair of pants and a shirt, and he puts them on, and that's it. So he's our little top taker. But he's acquired at least 50 t-shirts from plays that he's been in, summer camps that he's gone to, sports events that he's participated in. When kids go on vacation, when kids go on a field trip, often the teacher will make matching shirts so that he or she can pick out the kids, at whatever venue they're at. So he has just massive, massive amounts of t-shirts. It's overflowing. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we are called to look deeper into our habits of consumption, aren't we? It's not always easy, but we're called, especially during this month where we're looking at interdependence, to look at our relationships with plants and animals and even minerals, perhaps, as well as other humans that we share the planet with. So during April, we're specifically looking at this value and how we're called to honor it. And so I want to just share a few little statistics about the garment industry, which is one of our biggest polluters on planet Earth. Global fashion industry employs more than 75 million workers, and these are 2023 statistics, the latest that we have. Many of them labor without safety standards, without employment contracts, without schedules or benefits or even a living wage. Many of them are women and children who are living in poverty. The global fashion industry's estimated worth is $2.4 trillion. And garment workers' wages are typically well below the rest of society. And there is a lot of forced labor and child labor involved in the garment industry, as has been exposed from time to time by various scandals. 3 of the 4 deadliest garment factory disasters in history have happened in the past decade. And so garment industry production has doubled in the last 15 years. So we're buying more clothing and we're discarding more clothing. Clothing is being made more cheaply, and it's being made out of materials that are not designed to last. They're thinner, and they are made from cheap dyes, and dyes are one of the worst polluters on our planet Earth. So there are a lot of reasons for us to think about where our clothing comes from and the kind of the production streams that are part of that interbeing that we just talked about. Our 7th principle declares that we are to uphold and affirm, as you use, the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part. So we are really called to think about this in new ways. Our Article 2 proposed revision goes a little further than that and says we honor the interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships and respect, care and respect, mutuality and justice. We'll work to repair harm and damaged relationships. So that's even a stronger call, right? That we need to really put some action behind our words about respect, that we need to offer a different way of being to respect our planet and our interdependent web. Now, this might mean that we need to think a little bit harder about the things that we consume and what went into their production. Who lives near the factories that create the materials for the fabrics that we wear? Whose hands labor to make those tiny stitches? With what and how they are paid as well, and how many hours they're expected to work, and whether they're able to live lives of inherent dignity that match the inherent worth and dignity that they possess as humans. What's involved in the process of creating these garments, and what the life cycle is of our clothing. Now, I will be the first one to say, as I shared with you, I don't need as many garments as I own, and owning them is definitely a privilege that I hold. And it's also a burden, isn't it? The more possessions that we have, the more we can feel weighed down with the need to store them and care for them and manage them. They take up space and they require maintenance. So to think some more about all these things, I recently participated over the fall and the winter in a 100-day challenge with this blue wool dress that I am wearing right now. Not the jacket that's over it, but just the blue dress. And so I want to just offer you a few notes about wool as a fiber, along with silk, flax, cotton, leather, and a few other fibers. Wool from animals is one of the oldest ways that we humans have found to clothe ourselves and stay warm, right? And also to adorn our bodies and communicate with other humans about who we are and what our station in life is, and hopefully make ourselves look nice. And so there's evidence of domestication of sheep between 9,000 and 11,000 years ago. So sheep have been with us for a really long time on the journey, and we definitely have interbeing with sheep, don't we? Now, I've always loved wool. I know some people were made to wear it in really itchy, scratchy ways, or ways that made you feel very hot or uncomfortable, and so you may not have a loving relationship with wool. I want to show you, I just brought a little show and tell here. I want to show you a wool sweater that I had when I was in high school in the 80s. It's a Benetton, remember Benetton wool sweater, and it's still in perfect condition after all those years, and I still wear it. I'm going to show it to you. So you can see how durable these fabrics really are, right? They last a long time, and they're made to last as long as they don't come into contact with a moth. So I wore this dress every day for 100 days. I snapped a picture of myself each day, and for completing the challenge, I received a gift certificate from the company, which I'm not going to share the company because this is not a commercial or a testimonial. But that wasn't really the main reason that I participated in order to get the certificate. I wanted to explore the idea of sustainability and the idea that I didn't need as many things as I was using in my daily life. And I also, wondered what would happen if I wore the same dress every day. Would I become a social pariah? Would I start to smell bad? Would people make disparaging comments? Or would I start to feel bored with my clothing? What else might happen if I explored this new practice? Well, first of all, no one said anything. Now, if they noticed, they were too nice to say that, how come you're wearing the same dress every day, Reverend Christina? And I was able to accessorize with my many sweaters and jackets and things, so to make it sort of fun for myself. Now, I don't think that I smelled bad. Nobody told me that I did. That's another thing about wool. It's a truly performance fabric, and it has natural resistance to bacteria. So I only had to wash the dress about every 10 days or so, which meant that I used less laundry detergent and less water and less energy to heat the water because you had to wash wool in cold. The lack of laundry was just an incredible gift to a busy working mother, right? I did not get bored. I actually felt it was quite comforting to wake up and just wear the same thing every day. It was one less decision I had to make every morning. What else happened? Well, I started not wanting to wear anything else but merino wool because it has amazing temperature regulation too. And so I felt cool when it was warm outside. I felt warm when it was cool outside. I just felt that I carried around my own little layer of insulation, and what the weather was doing was really a lot less important to me. It was amazing. I also got rid of a number of things that no longer fit or weren't serving me or I didn't need anymore. I was able to pass those along to people who might appreciate them. I just really enjoyed the simplicity of this lifestyle, right, of just wearing a few things. And I'm no longer tempted, this is a wonderful outcome, I'm no longer tempted by fast fashion. I really can just walk into a store that's got all these bright displays and I don't even see it because I'm so happy with the things that I'm wearing. They're comfortable and I'm thrilled to have them. I also established relationships with the interdependent web of clothing that I am a part of. The sheep on the family farm in New Zealand, I don't know them personally, but I've seen pictures of them and I've seen pictures of the farm where my garment comes from. The workers in South Korea in the factory where these garments are made, the very small factory where they are stitched. And the small company in Portland, Oregon, where the designs are created and where they manage this interdependent web. Also the Facebook group of folks who share their pictures and share their thoughts about wearing wool and this wonderful lifestyle that we've found. And this Facebook group has actually been called by the New York Times the nicest group on Facebook. The people are so supportive and so lovely and just affirming of each other. It's really great. And we're even planning a woolly East Coast meetup sometime later this year, which is going to be really fun as well. And finally, because wool is an investment, I can really buy it with confidence, knowing that there's a secondary market for these garments if I decide they aren't exactly what I want, or if I change my mind. There is an active group where I can resell my things that I don't want for almost the amount that I paid for them, making it very, very economical for me. Now, as a result of all this exploration, I've become quite devoted, or even more devoted, to my sustainable wool lifestyle. That may not be what's right for everyone here. So I'm not here to tell you what to wear or how to shop. I'm really not. What I'm here to do is remind us of our UU values, remind us that we're all called to embrace the seventh principle and respect the interdependent web of life. And that means acknowledging humbly that our actions as consumers affect life as we know it on this planet, and that the fashion industry, as we've explored, is a major polluter here on Earth, and that our insatiable desire for beauty and novelty and adornment has become a huge problem for all of Earth's creatures, not just humans, no matter where we all live. But the good news is that we can make changes when we learn more about where our clothing comes from and how it's made and what the byproducts are. We can learn to live more simply, to think about our choices in the marketplace, and to keep sustainability in mind. We can buy quality garments that will last us longer. We can use and repurpose the things that we have, and we can even buy secondhand whenever possible. We can seek elegance rather than luxury. We can seek refinement rather than fashion, as our spiritual forebear, William Ellery Channing, advised us, and his Unitarian flock so long ago. We can give thanks for the woolly sheep whose beautiful coats lend us, these human beings without fur, their warmth and their insulation. And we can seek to ensure that these beings are cared for and kept healthy throughout their lives. We can advocate for fair pay and safe and humane working conditions for all garment workers in the U.S. and in the rest of the world. And we can explore and connect with the folks whose labors sustain and enhance our daily lives, moving through our daily rituals with gratitude for them and for this beautiful earth, the bounteous source of every fiber of our being, and the great fount of every blessing that we have ever known. Thank you. And now let us sing about that fount of every blessing. It's a hymn number 126. And I am going to have to run away after the service, but I did bring a couple of wool garments. So if you don't feel comfortable touching my dress, that seems a little weird. I have a scarf and a couple of other things. If you want to just feel the texture of the wool garments, I'll stay for a little bit after the service, okay? Let's sing. Oh yes, please rise if you would like.
Sing
three are from the Reverend Denise Colley. Love our earth. Take action to consume less. Use less energy. Respect the water. And be cooperative, collaborative, and creative community, like the moss and the mushrooms. Our children's lives and their children's lives depend on it. May it be so. I will extinguish our chalice with our usual chalice extinguishing words. I invite you to say them with me. They will be found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you.